we welcome our key chief guest. Let's have the screen ready. Please welcome.
She is the Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya with over 38 years of distinguished service in the legal profession. An accomplished advocate and jurist, she has served across multiple divisions of the judiciary and continues to provide leadership in advancing justice, judicial reform, and institutional excellence in Kenya. Please welcome Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu.
A big round of applause, please. Of course, we also have...
He is a visionary leader and a partner at KPMG East Africa, where he is currently the business consulting services leader responsible for strategy, operations and customer excellence, finance and accounting advisory, sourcing and procurement, and people and change consultancy services. Please welcome the ICPAK Council National Vice Chairman, FCPA Bernard Amuka.
And to just welcome us, thank you so much, to just welcome us for this particular session, representing the CEO ICPAK, please welcome.
She is an accomplished finance and governance professional currently serving as Director of Professional Standards and Technical Services at ICPAK. She also chairs the Financial Reporting Award Technical Committee and serves as Audit Committee Chair at the Council of Governors in Kenya. Passionate about professional excellence, she leads initiatives that strengthen compliance, financial reporting standards, and continuous professional development within the accountancy profession. Please welcome CPA Catherine Asemeid.
Please welcome her to guide us through the program. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Mwakazi. But just to add some bit of protocol, we have the session chair, who is CPA Wycliffe Bichanga. I know he's in Pride in. CPA Wycliffe, if you had any remark, maybe you can go ahead. Thank you. Mwakazi, kindly, I would request that we check Pride in 1 and 2 first.
Pride in 1. Pride in 2. We're ready here at sort of, Pride in 2, we can hear you. Thank you, technical team. Please, delegates, don't mind. Pride in 2. Thank you, sir. Excellent. Thank you, CPA Mukisu. Excellent. All right. Over to you, CPA Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Distinguished delegates, I'm here to represent our CEO, CPA Dr. Grace Kamau, and I therefore give the remarks on her behalf. Our chief guest, Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu, EGH, Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, Chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, FCPA Bernard Amuka, the Vice Chairman of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ICPAK Council members present, past ICPAK Chairman, branch leaders present, FCPAs and CPAs, esteemed speakers and distinguished participants, members of the Fourth Estate, the ICPAK Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The Honorable Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu, allow me to begin by sincerely welcoming you and expressing my appreciation for your presence this morning. We are deeply honored by your presence at the official closing of the 43rd Annual Seminar, Edition 1. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this important gathering, I stand here with a deep sense of pride in our profession and profound appreciation to every individual and institution that has contributed to the success of this seminar, particularly our team from the Secretariat. I would like to request that you give them a round of applause from wherever they are. Thank you. Allow me once again to express our sincere gratitude to our chief guest on the day one, our chief guest PLO Lumumba, whose keynote address set a bold and reflective tone for this seminar. Professor Lumumba reminded us that accountants are not merely custodians of records and reporters of financial outcome, but architects of institutions, guardians of trust, and stewards of national transformation. Indeed, throughout this seminar, we have reflected deeply on our theme, leading with influence, accountants as architects of organizational growth and transformation. To all delegates participating physically and virtually, we thank you for your commitment to the professional growth and excellence. Your engagement, discipline, active participation, and willingness to continuously learn demonstrate the strength and future of the accountancy profession. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. In particular, I would like to commend the organizations that sent us some very large delegations, and allow me to mention just some of them in this seminar. And if they are here, in whichever hall they are in, kindly feel free to stand up so that we can recognize you. And those who are joining virtually as well, you can give us the claps on the virtual platform. We have the National Treasury, where we have 140 delegates. Let's clap for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Indeed, they are the majority in this edition. We also have the Judiciary coming in as number 2 with 138 delegates. Thank you, thank you. Let's clap for them. We have Nairobi County with 135 delegates, quite a number, thank you. And we also have the Kisii County with 78 delegates. We have Kericho County with 57 delegates. And we have Kenya Revenue Authority with 54 delegates. We have the KERA, Rural Roads Authority, with 51 delegates, wherever they are. Thank you. Nakuru County, 44 delegates. Thank you. Kiambu County, we have 43 delegates. We also have the State Department of Immigration with 41 delegates. We have Kitui County with 39 delegates. And we have the IEBC with 38 delegates. We also have Vihiga County with 37 delegates. Thank you. So all of us, for those mentioned and those not mentioned, indeed, we truly appreciate you as an institute, and we look forward to engaging you again in all our CPD events and in the next edition of the annual seminar. So I feel appreciated and know that we are at hand to support you as you onboard on those seminars. So allow me to conclude with a thought that resonates strongly with this seminar. The true measure of a profession is not merely in the expertise it possesses, but in the trust it inspires, in the institution it strengthens, and the future it helps to build. May we continue to lead with influence, act with integrity, and serve with courage. With those few remarks, it is now my distinct honor and privilege to invite our Vice Chairman, FCPA Bernard Amuka, to give the official closing remarks on behalf of the Chairman and to guide us from this point going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, CPA Catherine, for making those powerful remarks from the CEO's office. I am very happy to stand here today. And if you really feel refreshed after the days as we close this, just turn to your neighbor and say, you are refreshed. I'm doing this because when we started and we had the opening session, you are a bit dull. I think you carried a lot of stress from your places of work, from where you are traveling. There was a challenge on transport. But by now, your faces are shining. So you are truly refreshed. Let's give ourselves a hand of applause. Thank you so much. I know as member body, you could be wondering where is the chairman and where is the CEO. But please accept their apology. They had to turn back because of an incident that happened in the family, both families. And they had to deal with them. They lost very close members of the family. So please remember them in your prayers and commit them to the Lord. Now let me go to what I've been asked to do. I think 45 minutes allocated to this is too long, but I will try to summarize. Our chief guest, Honorable Justice Philomena Mwilu, EGH Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court, CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, ICPAK Chairman, ICPAK Council colleagues, our CEO, CPA Dr. Grace Kamau, past ICPAK Chairman present, I saw FCPA Philip Kakai and FCPA Julius Mwatu was here. And I know those are the ones I've seen. Branch leadership present, FCPS, CPS, esteemed speakers, and distinguished participants, members of the Fourth Estate, the ICPAK Secretariat, and ladies and gentlemen, and this conference has got even those who are non-accountants who come here in their leadership capacity. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again. Allow me, first of all, to thank the Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu for joining us. And sometimes we say things happen for a reason, so this will go on record that we have met you live. And thank you for honoring us to come to this conference. And today we take note of an error, which I think the accountants who brought the delegates realized that there was an error committed. So I'm confirming that through your office, the judiciary is number one with the delegates at 146. So, so it is always good to verify numbers and validate them. So the head of the delegation from the judiciary, thank you for a good job because you know people who attended. Let's just give them that. And so the other one, this is how certificates can get stolen in an election. But we are very glad this has happened. So as we gather for the official closing of this 43rd Annual Seminar, Edition 1, allow me on behalf of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya to most sincerely and warmly welcome the Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu, Deputy Chief Justice and the Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya. Your Ladyship, your presence at the close of this seminar dignifies this occasion in a very profound way. We are greatly honored that you chose to join us this afternoon as we bring to a conclusion a seminar that has challenged us to rethink the future of leadership and influence within our profession. Some of us, as we grew up, not many accountants appear in court, but we do admire what you do from a distance, and we encourage you to keeping up the good job, and we will support you. 38,000 accountants can rally behind well-performing members of the judicial system. So thank you so much for that good work. Your Ladyship, permit me also to convey our deepest appreciation to our chief guest for the opening ceremony on Tuesday, Professor PLO Lumumba, who is also a member of your profession, whose keynote address set the intellectual and moral tone for this seminar. Through his reflections on institutional integrity, governance failures, ethical courage, and the evolving mandate of accountants, he reminded us that accountants are no longer mere custodians of records, but architects of institutional transformation and national progress. And as we caught up, you told us one complements the other, iron sharpens the iron, and we move together. And in some of the speakers who spoke to us this week, reminded us that we have collective responsibility to be each other's keeper. And that is a very profound message for us as Kenyans. Through his reflections on institutional integrity, governance failures, ethical courage, and the evolving mandate of accountants, he still reminded us that we should be now champions of growth and transformation in our institutions. His message challenged us to move beyond technical competence and into moral leadership. Distinguished delegates, over the last 4 days, this seminar has truly brought to life our theme, which is leading with influence. Leading with influence. Accountants as architects of organizational growth and transformation. What began as a thematic statement became a lived experience throughout our deliberations, discussions, presentations, and engagements that you have had. I do take note that most of the time, some of you refreshed yourselves by the beach and you really relaxed. That was a good one. That now, the expectation the employers will have on us that there should be improvement on all the KPI areas. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to sincerely thank all our speakers, moderators, discussants, and panelists for the ingenuity they brought into this seminar. The power of creative imagination, practical wisdom that they shared, and clever problem solving that enriched every session. Across the week, we were not merely presented with theories, we were exposed to the realities, possibilities, disruptions, and opportunities that are shaping the future of our profession. And there was no better way to end the sessions, which CJ Atema has really taken us through. And the men who attended the first inaugural Luminary Men Conference, men transforming, men impacting different spheres of life, you can agree that kumbe, men also have issues, but they die with them. Walifungua roho, na nyinyi pia nanyi, muanze kufungua roho. We had compelling conversations about the profession's future sustainability and the urgent need to attract, develop, and retain future-ready accountants in a rapidly changing world. We were reminded, our chief guest, that technology is not the greatest disruption facing finance offices today, but capability is. We were challenged to rethink the profession beyond compliance and reposition accountants as trusted strategic partners in an AI-driven world. We learned that despite technological acceleration, there remains zero appetite for human-free audit, and that the human qualities of judgment, ethics, interpretation, and professional courage remain irreplaceable. Our chief guest, I know you will get time to reinforce that particular fact. And CJ Atema has reminded us of a very important thing for some of us who work in high-pressure environments, that if you drop dead, the work will still continue. Did I hear that myself alone? Yes. So take time to pay yourself dividends before you pay the third parties. We saw how we were also guided through the evolving governance and compliance landscape in which institutions are increasingly expected to strengthen transparency, internal controls, risk management, and public accountability. Sessions on unclaimed financial assets challenged finance leaders, auditors, and governance professionals to recognize that dormant balances are not nobody's money, but fiduciary obligations belonging to citizens and institutions. I met a member who said that why then, if assets have been unclaimed, why does it then mean when you go to unclaim for for those who have passed on in the family, the process is like they don't want you to access that money. So those who took us through yesterday on how to go through Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, please note that there is still that challenge and we need to enhance the processes. We learned valuable lessons on ethical leadership and the profession's enduring responsibility to uphold public trust. Throughout the seminar, one truth remained constant. When systems fail, society quietly turns to professionals who can still interpret truth and defend integrity. And we were reminded that as accountants, we are who we are because of the Act of Parliament that is given power through the voters. We learned that the voters can recall us if we don't do a good job. That was something to just think through. Distinguished participants, the discussions on property, ownership, taxation, generational wealth, and investment also opened important conversations about financial literacy, long-term wealth creation, and avoiding fraudulent land transactions. And you are told to use experts. I remember Dunstan saying, for the men who still have their plans on the side, you don't buy land for a girlfriend, as they said. And then later, mukikosana, you come back saying that you want to claim back your land. Please, that is what is called caveat emptor. As I reflect personally on this seminar, I live deeply encouraged. Encouraged because this profession continues to demonstrate resilience and relevance in changing times. Encouraged because our members are willing to engage with difficult national conversations on governance, tax, ethics, sustainability, technology, and accountability. I'm also encouraged because but preparing itself to lead through it. COVID came to us, COVID brought us, but COVID has enabled us now to work from everywhere. Over the last few days, beyond the presentations, something else happened. Quietly among us, relationships were built, mentorships were formed, perspectives were challenged, networks were strengthened, and perhaps, most importantly, a renewed sense of professional identity emerged. I am not preempting, but perhaps there will be a marriage after this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, as ICPAK, we want to assure our members that we remain fully committed to strengthening the profession and positioning it for the future. We continue to undertake strategic initiatives around professional standards, digital transformation, sustainability reporting, ethics, governance, advocacy, capacity building, and global visibility for the Kenyan accountants. And it is for this reason I do know, and I can attest that the council that you have put in place is working very hard. Some of them were asking, this thing seems to be like a full-time job. Delegates, allow me to appreciate and recognize the work that is done by your council members, and in different locations where they are, council colleagues, please just stand Just stand and the camera guys just allow me to appreciate all of them. Because of time, we may not get time to introduce them. We have CPA Jane Washuka. Jane Washuka is representing the National Treasury and is director in the Exchequer. Let's give a hand of applause. We do have Professor Nicholas Leting, who is the CEO of CASNEB. So when accountants, you say the ones join you are half-baked, you know where to go. And he will address those issues. We have CPA Olive Gitau, whom you have given a second term duly. Let's give her a hand of applause. And she's doing a great job for us. I always call her, she's the toothpick that we use to pick issues that can't go unnoticed. On the other side of Pridin, we do have CPA Wycliffe Bishanga. CPA Wycliffe Bishanga is also a council member, and all practice issues are handled by him. We have CPA Mukisu Matthew. CPA Mukisu Matthew represents the Capital Markets Authority. And yes, CPA Crispus Mbogo, whom we both joined together. Please let's give him a hand of applause. For all our public sector accountants who joined here, he convenes a committee on public sector issues. So if things are not moving, just ask Mbogo whether he's doing his job. Thank you so much, Council. And we do have those who are not with us here. FCPA Georgina Malombe, she had to go back because of the panel that you know was gazetted. They have a meeting tomorrow, today actually, sorry. I'm talking like it's yesterday. So they have a session today and she had to go back. And FCPA Hesbon Omolo, who is also not with us here because of attending to urgent matter in Kisumu. But they were all here and you saw the level of support that they gave. Did I forget someone? Thank you very much. So our chief guest, we continue to preserve, document rich history of this profession. As part of our legacy project, we'd like to invite you members to actively share your stories, things that are in your archives, photographs, milestones, and the historical information that capture the journey of ICPAK and the impact of accountants in shaping our nation. Institutions that remember their story are better positioned to shape their future. Further, fellow accountants, I urge you to actively participate in the ongoing national budget conversations or within the budget conversations, whether in boardrooms, media platforms, public forums, professional spaces, or within your organizations. Let your voice matter. The country needs professionals who can explain facts, demystify misinformation, interpret economic realities, and guide society with objectivity and clarity. Influence is not merely about position, as we've learned. It is about responsibility. But beyond it, we say leadership is about impact. So chief guests, as professionals, we have agreed that we must allow truth to become a casualty of noise. We must lead with facts, we must lead with courage, and we must lead with integrity. Did you hear me? Can you repeat to your neighbor the three things I've said? Facts, courage, and integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this first edition of the 43rd annual seminar, may we leave this place not merely informed, but transformed. May we leave prepared to become architects of institutions that inspire trust, architects of organizations that endure uncertainty, architects of economies that create inclusive growth, and architects of society where leadership is measured not only by success, but by integrity. Allow me to leave you with the words of Chinua Achebe. One of the truest tests of integrity is its blunt refusal to be compromised. May that spirit define us as professionals and as leaders. Finally, distinguished guests, tonight, as the sun settles gently over the Indian Ocean and the coastal breeze carries the rhythm of celebration across these beautiful shores of Mombasa, I warmly want to welcome you and invite you to join us for the gala dinner this evening. You have done well. Don't go away. Come, let's give it the grand finale. If you are coming, give me just a hand of applause and say, we will connect. Those who have been there know how it works. Thank you to all our delegates from various organizations and sectors for dedicating your time, energy, and financial resources to participate in this seminar. We had an impressive turnout of 3,551 delegates attending in person across our 3 venues, along with 547 online participants, which truly enriched our discussions. Let's give ourselves a hand of applause there. And therefore, I still want to very much recognize our team from ICPAK. Please just stand, and as we wait for the dinner, just say kwaheri for now. Thank you very much. We also had our guests from ICPAK. Yes, Somali Institute. Thank you. We also had our guests from ISPA, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda. Okay, they must have left. Did I forget one? No. Burundi, yes. Burundi, please wave. Members, wave back. Thank you very, very much for gracing this occasion. I have Tanzania, yes. NAA, NAB. They have stepped out. They are going to buy dinner garments, attires. But we are very grateful for their presence in this particular event. To Sarova White Sands and Pride Beach Resort and Spa, thank you for your hospitality and partnership throughout this event. And to the ICPAK Secretariat and staff, allow me to say this with deep sincerity, and even from the council desk, that we say thank you. I think let them just stand wherever they are, and let's just applaud this team. Pulling such a conference is not the easiest. Members, let's just give them a hand of applause for a job well done. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. And now, with a great honor and deep respect, please join me in standing up. Please join me in standing up to welcome the Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu, Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, to officially address us and close this seminar. Thank you all, and God bless you. Let's give her a hand of applause until she reaches the stage. We are so happy to have received you with us. Thank you.
Asante sana. Let's take our seats. This is the 4th time I'm appearing before ICPAK. And it makes me feel like a member. For the last 2 months, actually, from around the 25th of March, I've been having this irritating cough that does not seem to be in a hurry to go anywhere. And it has greatly affected the way I speak. But I hope you will bear with me on that one. I've read something on your program, and I heard the Vice Chair say that I've been doing this for the last 37 years. someone is clearly attempting to make me younger, but I'm okay the way I am. I have been doing this for the last 42 years. And God giving me life, I do not intend to stop. When the constitutional time for the judiciary comes, I will continue doing better than I did in the judiciary. I don't know whether to read my speech because everything I've written here, I have had the Vice Chair summarize. So it is as though we all think the same. We try. I'm not a very tall person, and then I don't know how to walk in heels. So I came in my flat shoes. But the good thing about what I'm going to say being a repetition is that we are thinking the same thing. Therefore, there must be something right we are doing, or something right we are thinking. And I want us to move today beyond the thinking to the doing. Let me start. The usual way, I think. CPA Professor Elizabeth Kalunda, our chair. Bernard, our vice chair. Council members present. Grace, our CEO. Past ICPAK chairs present. Branch leaders present. The FCPS and CPS here present. The speakers that took us through the week and who may still be here. And you, the most important person in the room, the delegate, good afternoon. Allow me first to express my sincere appreciation. Is this okay? Is it okay? Thank you. Allow me to express my sincere appreciation to the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya for inviting me to join you at the closing of this very important seminar. It's always a privilege to engage with a profession that occupies a central place in the governance, stability, and transformation of our nation. Returning to the ICPAK annual seminar feels both familiar and deeply encouraging. I still recall the warmth, the seriousness of engagement, and richness of thought that characterized the last seminar where I had the honor of joining you. What stood out then, and what remains evident today, is that ICPAK continues to distinguish itself not merely as a professional body regulating accountants, but as an important national voice on governance, accountability, ethics, and institutional transformation. And perhaps that is exactly what this moment in our country demands. There's always been a close relationship between us. We who are jurists in the judiciary and in practice, and you in the accounting profession. Though operating in different professional spheres, we perform remarkably similar roles as custodians of public interest and public trust, institutional integrity, and societal order. That is our job. Both professions are fundamentally anchored on accuracy, objectivity, independence, and ethical responsibility. Just as judges and judicial officers interpret and apply the law to ensure fairness, accountability, and the rule of law, accountants, on the other hand, safeguard financial integrity by ensuring transparency, proper stewardship of resources, and compliance with regulatory standards. Both jurists and accountants serve as critical pillars of governance and public confidence. Courts uphold justice through truthful adjudication, while accountants uphold accountability through truthful financial reporting and audit oversight. Importantly, both professions require impartiality. They require professional skepticism, and they require disciplined reasoning and the courage to resist improper influence. Where juries protect the moral and constitutional architecture of society, accountants protect its financial and institutional architecture. In this sense, both professions are indispensable guardians of legitimacy, trust, and democratic stability. I understand this relationship firsthand, working with accountants within the institution of the judiciary, as well as at Sharia Circle, where I currently sit as chair. And thank you, judiciary, for somehow, did you know I was coming? Thank you for being here in such big numbers. And I hope these 4 days has changed us. My favorite accountant in the judiciary is called Wanyama. Is Wanyama in the house? Is he here? Wanyama is the most hated person in the judiciary. Comes, of course, second after me. And that's because he and I insist on getting the right thing done. I have worked with Wanyama for a very long time. It's easier to get water out of a stone than to compromise Wanyama. And that's why he's my favorite. Indeed, in many commercial disputes, corruption matters, procurement cases, tax appeals, insolvency proceedings, and economic crime cases before our courts, accountants and auditors are not peripheral actors, they are central pillars in the administration of justice. Ultimately, the judiciary and the accounting profession are united by a common obligation, the protection of public trust. The judiciary safeguarding constitutional order and the rule of law, and accountants safeguarding financial probity and institutional credibility. Both ultimately exist in the service of society. Dear colleagues, I get to be invited a lot to these talking places. The other day I was talking to the newly recruited judges of the High Court and the Environment and Land Court. There, I told them this, which I'm telling you now, that We are in a time of increasing public scrutiny. All of us are. We are in a time of rapid technological change and growing citizen expectations. Now that is made all the more greater by a challenging local and global political and economic context. Strengthening trust, integrity, leadership, and accountability is vitally important in this moment, and professional bodies such as yourselves play a critical role in this regard. Across the world, citizens are increasingly scrutinizing institutions and demanding greater transparency, ethical leadership, and responsive stewardship of public and private resources. According to the 2025 Elderman Trust Barometer, public trust in institutions continues to decline globally, where governance systems are perceived to lack transparency, fairness, and accountability. Closer home, Kenya's growing national discourse around the prudent use of public resources reflects a society that is becoming more vigilant and more demanding of accountability from institutions and leaders alike. These conversations are, to me, not merely economic. They are deeply moral. They are about fairness. They are about public confidence. And they are about whether institutions can still be trusted. And whenever societies begin asking such questions, they inevitably turn to professionals. That I also heard from our vice chair. So, you came here this week so that you could consider leading with influence accountants as architects of organizational growth and transformation. That has been your theme. I was asked to make a few remarks today on this other theme, the role of professionals in upholding accountability and transparency in Kenya. Is there any difference between the two? I don't think so. So, as accountants, we are architects of organizational growth and transformation. That is an accurate reflection of the changing reality of professional leadership in our time. For many years, influence was associated primarily with the political class, particularly with the executive authority, or public prominence. But today, influence increasingly belongs to those who shape systems, to those who guide decisions, interpret complexity, and strengthen institutional trust. In that regard, therefore, accountants have become some of the most influential professionals in modern society. Modern economies are increasingly built not only on capital and in infrastructure, but on trust. Investors invest where governance is predictable. Citizens comply where institutions are credible. Markets thrive where transparency exists. Trust, therefore, is not merely a moral value, it is an economic asset. As I reflected on your seminar theme, One thought became particularly clear to me. Architecture is not only about construction. Rather, it is about stability, it's about foresight, it's about endurance, and it is about integrity of design. Begins in the beginning. We are told, those of us who have seen a book called the Bible, it talks about some chap who built a house without a foundation. The rest of it is history. So let's get back. Architecture is not only about construction, it's about stability, foresight, endurance, and the integrity of the design. Architects shape what societies eventually become. Similarly, accountants today are no longer confined to ledgers, to balance sheets, and compliance reports. Did I hear you also heard that throughout the week? You are strategic advisors. You are governance stewards. And you are investigators. You are risk managers. You are sustainability champions. And you are institutional stabilizers. You help organizations navigate uncertainty. You support governments in responsible stewardship of resources. You strengthen investor confidence. You help institutions remain credible, and ultimately, you help economies function. That, to me, is influence. But influence comes with responsibility, because influence without ethics becomes extremely dangerous. Leadership without accountability becomes an abuse, and professionalism without integrity becomes extreme, dangerous competence. If you are a professional, and a good one, but you lack integrity, your competence amounts to naught, to zero, to nothing. No, let me correct myself. It amounts to you being an extremely dangerous person. So, dear colleagues, our theme this afternoon is the role of of professionals in upholding accountability and transparency in Kenya. Our Constitution envisioned a culture of accountability. It envisioned leadership that is anchored on integrity. It envisioned institutions worthy of public trust. But constitutions alone do not enforce values. Institutions do not sustain themselves automatically. Systems remain credible only when professionals choose integrity over convenience and principle over compromise. I have increasingly come to appreciate that the credibility of institutions often depends less on laws and policies, but more on the ethical conduct of the professionals who implement them. When you see the term CPA describe an accountant. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? It means you are a professional accountant. The defining character of a professional is the commitment to place competence and ethical responsibility in service of and for the public good. A professional is not merely someone who possesses technical knowledge or specialized training, but one who exercises that expertise with integrity, with accountability, with discipline, and fidelity to established ethical standards. For you, accountability and transparency are not abstract governance concepts. They are operationalized daily through accurate records, through ethical decisions, through disclosure practices and responsible stewardship of the resources placed before us. If you understand your role as a professional and jealously guard your integrity and reputation, then we are doing the right thing. No doubt, you know that already. As major corruption scandals of our time are also accounting scandals. And if they are not, I want us to have that discussion. In addition to recurring patterns of weak internal controls and procurement vulnerabilities, they are most importantly characterized by ethical failures and professional irresponsibility. By inter alia, ushasikia hiyo kizungu kubwa ya inter alia? It means, among other things, accountants and auditors. In many cases, systems existed, laws existed, and procedures existed. But we professionals either ignored or manipulated or circumvented them. In some, there's a lack of professional integrity. These scandals, excuse me, demonstrate that accountability systems are only as good and as strong as the people operating them. That professionals, when they keep quiet, professional silence can enable institutional collapse. That transparency is the one that protects institutions, and that ethical courage is indispensable. I was clapping silently when our vice chair told us to repeat certain words. One of it was courage. During our breakout there, we said it's very nice to have the courage to get the right thing done, and you start doing it yourself. Sometimes, unfortunately, there is a price to pay, and unfortunately, it's paid at the personal level. But it is a price all professionals must be ready to pay. They also reinforce an important reality. Corruption rarely succeeds through one individual alone. It often depends on networks of professional complexity, silence, or negligence, or all the three above. For accountants in particular, these scandals underscore the importance of ICPAK in ensuring that all its members commit to accurate reporting, ethical independence, proper record keeping, compliance, whistleblowing, and stewardship of public trust. And if you must pay the price of doing it right and paying that price individually, then please enjoy paying the price. Dear colleagues, economic crimes remain among the greatest threats to institutional legitimacy anywhere in the world. Reports by the African Development Bank and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa show that Africa loses tens of billions of dollars every year through corruption and illicit financial flows. Resources that could otherwise support healthcare and education, infrastructure development, and youth empowerment is lost through corruption. In most cases, these losses are not caused by a lack of loss. They are failures of accountability systems, and that's why we professionals matter. Accountants matter because they stand at the front line of accountability systems. You are often the first to notice irregularities. You strengthen internal controls. You support transparency in reporting, and you interpret financial truth. You help detect misuse of resources, and you strengthen governance systems. You support compliance with legal and ethical obligations, and indeed, under Kenya's anti-money laundering and financial reporting frameworks, you, accountants, continue to play an increasingly critical role in safeguarding the integrity of the financial systems. This, to me, is not merely technical work. It is public interest work. It is work that calls for public trust. The public will not trust us when we do funny things, yet we know that we should be doing the right thing. Now, on the other hand, the justice system, when holding those who engage in financial crimes to account, depends on the forensic accounting and financial expertise of, guess who? Guess. The cases that are brought to court. Have you ever heard of a word called evidence? In these financial malpractices, who would provide excellent expert evidence? You, the accountants. And so, in increasingly sophisticated corruption and economic crime cases, you often find the critical bridge between suspicion and proof by assisting investigators in tracing financial flows, helping prosecutors interpret complex transactions, assisting the courts understand technical financial evidence, and illuminating evidentiary chains that are often essential in determining accountability, that must come from you, the accountants. Now, the post facto role, especially from the perspective of the judiciary, is critically important, which we sincerely appreciate. But even more imperative are your ex ante roles. Accountability is not about detecting wrongdoing after the fact. True accountability begins and must begin long before cases reach the courts. Justice does not begin in courtrooms. It begins in institutions that choose honesty, fairness, transparency, and ethical conduct. Justice begins there. It begins in the boardrooms. Justice begins in the cashier registries. Justice begins in audit committees. Justice begins when professionals choose honesty over concealment, and justice begins when leaders refuse to manipulate figures for short-term gain. Justice begins when ethical courage becomes stronger than personal interest. History teaches us that institutions rarely collapse suddenly. They decline gradually when ethical silence becomes normalized. And this is where the leadership dimension of your seminar becomes particularly important. Kenya does not merely need technical, competent professionals. Kenya does not merely need technically competent professionals. It needs, first and foremost, at least in my world, ethical professionals of unshakable integrity. Professionals who understand that integrity is not an accessory to leadership, it is its foundation. Professionals who can speak truth even when it is uncomfortable. Professionals who understand that silence in the face of misconduct is itself a form of complicity. What this country needs is professionals who do the right thing, whatever the consequences. Accountability begins with integrity, and that's because no accountability system can function where integrity is absent. I read a powerful quote from Warren Buffett where he said, we do a lot of Warren Buffett in circles. In looking for people to hire, you know this already, look for 3 qualities. And the 3 are, yes, you guess right, integrity, intelligence, and energy. But Buffett continues to say, if the person you're looking to hire, if the persons you're looking to hire don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. Now, if you have workers of integrity, but they are not particularly intelligent and not particularly full of energy, and we all have the basics because don't we have very many degrees sitting here? But have your intelligence, have your energy, and you have no integrity, you will kill the institution. That's what Warren Buffett teaches us. And that's what I came to repeat to us. Colleagues, intelligence without integrity becomes extremely dangerous. Technical expertise without ethics can facilitate corruption rather than prevent it. You are not mere recorders of numbers. That's not what accountants are. As accountants, you are the guardian of institutional memory, financial truth, and public confidence. And because you accountants occupy positions of strategic influence within both the public and private institutions, the question of accountability becomes, in any governance system, strong records create accountability and enforce compliance. We will not fight with that. But weak documentation enables impunity and opens up institutions to fraud. We can't fight with that. The detail and accuracy of what you report, the fidelity to standards that you practice, those are transparency and accountability in action. Accountants are uniquely positioned to detect fraud, to enforce compliance, and to ensure traceability, improve reporting accuracy, and strengthen institutional controls. So you sitting here, I dare say to you, you are at the very foundation of our institutional democracy and at the very foundation of our economic system. Systems alone do not and cannot eliminate corruption. Ethical professionals are the most important line of defense. And that's why I am particularly encouraged by the presence of so many of you here. Some of you extremely young. These days, munatoka university mkiwa award. So you must take the lead in doing things differently. Do not join the headlong rush to the bottom that currently characterizes so many of our public and private institutional spaces. Let your integrity define your legacy. Take your time to improve your skills, sharpen your knowledge, learn from and listen to your seniors, but with a respectful yet critical ear. In a world increasingly driven by pressure, speed, visibility, and performance targets, ethical consistency has become rare and therefore extraordinarily valuable. Protect your professional credibility by all means. Guard your integrity carefully. Let public trust the common good service across our public, private, and professional spaces be our true north, and not the titles we hold, not the positions we are in, and by no means not the wealth. That is where you will differ from the generations before you. That is where you will succeed in molding a better future for us all and for generations to come. Dear colleagues, as I conclude, allow me to return to the central question before us. What role should professionals play in upholding accountability and transparency in Kenya? This is my answer. I don't know about yours, but you hear mine. and then we can discuss yours at lunch. Professionals must become the conscience of institutions. You must become defenders of ethical governance. You must strengthen systems rather than exploit their weaknesses. You must use your expertise not merely for profitability, but for public good. You must help build organizations that are not only successful, but trustworthy. That is my answer. What's yours? Again, we all in this room know, or must have heard, that culture is strategy for breakfast. No matter how good our institutional strategies are, if our organizational cultures are characterized by corruption and a lack of integrity, they are destined for failure. Institutions fail not because of poor systems, but because unethical behavior becomes normalized. Accountability requires courage. Too often in the past, we have lacked the resolve to do the right thing. In the face of pressure to alter figures, to overlook irregularities, to approve what we know is unlawful expenditure, or to just remain silent. But as professionals, we must have the moral courage and the personal integrity to do the right thing. So I came today to say, together, let's try to do at all times the right thing. The skies won't fall. In many ways, accountability itself is an act of patriotism. Because every resource protected, every truthful report prepared, and every ethical decision made contributes to the stability and future of our nation. And so, may each one of you and your governing institute, ICPAK, continue to stand not only for technical excellence, but for personal integrity, ethical courage, and public trust. Our nation's future depends on ethical professional leadership. And as professionals, we must become guardians of public trust, cognizant that accountability is patriotism in practice, and that transparency is service both to ourselves now and to future generations. When professionals compromise integrity for convenience, silence, or for personal gain, institutions decay. Futures are eroded and society weakens. We must, as professionals, choose honesty, accountability, and the courage to do the right thing, even when no one is watching, even when it is the hardest thing to do. I have absolutely no doubt that if every professional in this room resolved today to work by that ethos, our nation would instantly transform for the better. Such is the importance of your role in upholding accountability and transparency in Kenya. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for bearing with my very long and many remarks. But finally, it is my privilege, which I do not take for granted, to declare this annual seminar officially closed. Give me a pen. Okay. Travel safely back home and serve Kenya. God bless us all.
Let us give her a better hand of applause. I don't know what came to your mind when she was speaking. If the organization you work for fails in the next 12 months in the true spirit of going concern, then you have yourself to blame. So let's do what we have to do. Because we have her here, one question per side. So, CPA Wycliffe, one question from your end. She would love to respond to critical questions. So if you get that one chance, uliza swali ya maana. Proceed. Thank you very much. Pride in one. Please proceed and keep it very brief. Time is not on our side. Thank you. Now, I'm in trouble. I have a lady and a gentleman. What do I do? Because of Pride in two, so let the lady start and then the gentleman here. Please move the mics very quickly. Thank you, Pride 2, for the donation. And please keep the questions succinct and very brief. Or as sweet comment as Lillian's.
Thank you so much, VC. My name is CPA Molena Chayo. My question is that over the years, we've had issues of corruption in this country. I'll pose a straightforward question. Is the judiciary the weak link between punishing of those who are found culpable, because we've had, and then we look at even the fines that come vis-a-vis the issues involved, we still feel that you have been very nice to the perpetrators. Are you the weak link?
Thank you. Please pass the mic.
Hello, my name is CPA Amos Kimebur. Thank you so much. I enjoyed listening to your speech today, Lady Justice Philomena Mwilu. It restored my confidence on a personal level on the judiciary. Now, I listened to you very well on something that you said, that we should choose integrity over convenience. You said also we should choose principles over compromise. And you talked a lot about ethical courage. And I want to add the third one, choose ethical courage over complicity? And that's where my question comes in. As finance people, we have a self-correcting system, meaning if there was an error in the finances, you can always restate the books, even if it goes to the board level. You can also reclassify transactions, and you can also provide supplementary audit opinions. Now, what we see in the court system is where there was an error in a case, and it has gone all the way to the apex of the judiciary, and then the magistrate or the lower court recognizes that error, but it looks like the judicial system does not have a self-correcting mechanism to correct decisions that were made in error, either in law or in fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the questions we'll take. And I want to throw in one. Should accountants say they want to save the country, and judiciary sets a free court where they are protected, is that a possibility? Thank you.
I could take that from here. You done? Thank you, Atieno. By God's grace, I'll sit on any presidential election petition that might be filed after the next year's elections. There is 7 of us on that court in regard to the presidential election. I know the 7 of us. And I know, first of all, we have been tested and found not wanting. That I can say today, tomorrow, and forever. Presidential election petitions are the most difficult kind of cases that you can hear. And you guys know the reason why. But were you born in 2017 when we said that the process was as important as the result? And when the process was wrong, we nullified a presidential election petition. Majority of those judges are still on this court. Were you born in 2022 when faced with an election petition with grounds that were not supported to the threshold required by law? And when we were challenged and told, oh, you nullified 2017, nullify 2022. As I will be giving the answer to the last question, the answer to that question comes also to the first question. The court, properly guided, is guided by the facts of a case and the evidence provided. Now, if you should write very glossy clauses in a petition, but you don't support them, we will throw them out. So, Atieno, speaking for myself first, I'll do my best. I'll remain firm, and I'll stand with the truth and the evidence that will be presented. And although I've not consulted my colleagues, we took an oath, each one of us, before we commenced the discharge of responsibility under Article 74 of the Constitution. We will not waver. We will not fail Kenya. But should you find, and you have evidence that we have done something wrong, and we have done it wrong deliberately, because that's the bad part, then take us to account. CPA Achayo. Does a judiciary punish corruption, or is judiciary weak link. Every time, because you know this is a common question, every time I hear that question, I feel sad. Sad because, I'll repeat, cases ought to be determined first on their unique facts, the circumstances surrounding the commission of an offense, or, if it's civil, the real facts that lead to a finding one way or the other. Now, where, unfortunately, we have a good case, good evidence, and we fail. Now, that makes me really sad. Is it true that the judiciary has sometimes done things which the public does not understand? Answer is yes. Is it also true that the judiciary, in certain cases, has stood with the law, the evidence, and the case presented before the, that also is true. Even if I didn't sit where I sit today, but I worked in the judiciary, a judiciary that is a weak link is an extremely dangerous institution. It's actually better not to have it. And so, for the current institution of the judiciary, for any judiciary since the 42 years I've been here, I don't think that the judiciary can be described as the weak link, even if there are instances of wrongdoing. Now, but let me make an appeal today. You heard me say, and that was deliberate, that no wrongdoing of the nature of cases that Achayo you're asking about is done by one person. So really, we must come out and give evidence, report wrongdoing, whatever the consequences. Didn't I say that enough times? So sometimes, even you guys sitting here, you know the truth about something. Find a way of letting someone know, and not just alleging, but alleging with evidence that this is wrongdoing. I would hate a situation where the judiciary were the weak link. Now I can here, in this country, in the last so many years, we haven't been the weak link. If you ask me, ranked 1, 2, 3, and you know what I'm talking about, the judiciary could very easily rank number 1. We are the first, your first line of defense, your very last line of defense. Self-correction mechanisms. You know, the law is the law. And you keep saying the law is an ass. I don't know whether it is, but I know one thing about the law. If the law says this is a way of doing things and limits the exercise of discretion, then that's what the law is. Now, I would want you to give me an example of a case that was done wrongly. There's a hierarchy of courts. It's called the appellate system. That was done wrong by the lowest court, came up all the way to the Supreme Court, which is the last court, and the wrong was not corrected. Now, our self-correcting mechanism is within the law. It is within the appellate system, so that if you don't get satisfied with the result of a lower court, you go to the next court. It's called appeal. If it was a magistracy, you go to the high court. From there, you go to the Court of Appeal, and then, in very rare cases, to the Supreme Court. And you're presenting your case correctly. That's the only way we can self-correct. In other matters, and those are disciplinary, of course, we have a strong mechanism of self-regulating, but through the Judicial Service Commission. I am sure you are talking about cases, not about how we behave. Chairman, What was your question?
Adduced evidence without incurring legal costs. Can that framework be created? Like in South Africa, they have the Constitutional Court, which is free for people who have issues. Can that concept be built here?
Interest cases, in public interest cases, rarely do we order costs. Rarely. Except where we get the feeling that you're just being messy or deliberately annoying. But what cost do you really incur? Now, the preparation of the books carry a cost. The presentation before court of that evidence carries no cost. And so I don't know, Chairman, I think you have to be clearer here. What cost are you saying the courts must stop accountants from incurring? Because the very preparation of your evidence is cost-based.
Yes. Sometimes accountants do not like appearing because they will want to appear with a lawyer. So the legal charges are the ones you're saying, because when that legal charges is high and you don't have a lawyer, there's a twist that comes and an accountant feels like, I don't want to be mugged into this case.
I understand you.
Yeah.
If you are the person charged, you're not coming as a witness. If you are the person charged with wrongdoing, you can do all you want, you can jump, you can scream. You will need the services of a lawyer who you must pay for, or your organization pay for, if the wrong that you're being accused of having done was done at the workplace. So legal fees, and this is the other thing that we suffer. You know, when police arrest people, kwa barabara wanasema, hii judiciary. Now the police are not members of the judiciary, although they are our partners in the justice system, and so are advocates. Advocates are the first partner of the justice system, but they work on that side. They are called the bar, so they are there on the bar, and we are here on the bench. So you must pay them, and by the way, it's very foolish to go to court without an advocate. Because, you know, courts are funny places. By the way, by all means, avoid court. By all means, avoid court, because it's so intimidating. And then, unfortunately, some of us lord it over others. And even where we don't, courts are complicated. And law is not easy. So when you think saying yes is the answer there, your lawyer would have told you, don't answer that question. Because he knows the next question that will follow your answer. So you do need, in the same manner that I cannot pretend to do judiciary's books of accounts. That's why I have Wanga and the rest. So let's respect professions first, and let's work in that togetherness I was talking about. But should you be charged, Chairman, God forbid, get a lawyer.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. This conversation could have continued. Mwakazi, I hope there is no burning question on the online team. And we want to end it here. Invite Mwakazi, are we good on that side?
We're good.
Yes,
Go
thank
ahead.
you very much. So allow me to invite CPA Jane Wakashu and CPA Olimbogo to come up front for the memento. Yes, Jane Washuka. Just come, Jane will hand over, and council members, you will come in front for a photo. Please do not step out because we are waiting for the final announcement from Mwakazi on the next steps. Thank you very much. Please remain seated. Please remain seated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chairman. Quick announcement here as we appreciate, a big round of applause once again. Thank you so much indeed. We appreciate you, celebrate you. Many thanks indeed. Quick announcement. Tonight from 7 p.m., please keep it black with a touch of African, because it's going to be a big dinner moment. Now, if you're coming from outside, we have, this is from Pride Inn, 6 p.m. We will have transport available because the dinner is happening here at Sarova. So 6 p.m., please be ready from Pride Inn to come. Thank you so much. 2 p.m., we have the Vipingo visit. Please, let's have the QR code on the screen. And of course, if you won, you remember the Menti participation, the top